Okay, should I start? I'm Morganne Flores, and I play for the UW softball team, and this is Circling Seattle Sports podcast.
This is episode 88 of the Circling Seattle Sports podcast, the Seattle interview series number 26. I am very excited to welcome Morganne Flores to the show here. I'm going to go down the list. This is a decent list. So back in 2016, Pac12 all-freshman team, and a NCFCA All-American second team in 2019, all Pac12 first team 2019. Also in 2019, Seattle Regional Most Outstanding Player, Johnny Bench Award winner in 2020. All Pac-12 first team 2021, region first team that year, Sports Star of the Year, women's sports nominee 2021, second in Husky history in RBIs and third in home runs. How have you been? Because I know that we're a couple weeks removed from the season. I know World Series just ended, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I believe you just wrapped up grad school. That might have been a little bit ago. How have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, this is like the first time in my life that I haven't had softball. So I started playing when I was like 5 years old, so it's like the first time in my life I haven't had to go to practice or like haven't had to go to weights. I mean, we get the summers off, but like there's always like looking forward to the fall because you're gonna play softball again. So it's been weird. It's been actually kind of nice to give my body like a rest after like 20 years, just of like a long rest. So it's been good. Not being in school is like really nice. I'm finally done like after my whole life of school, which is really refreshing. I've just been hanging out in Seattle, trying to take advantage of the sun while it's here. I'm just hanging out. So
Yeah, it's definitely got to take advantage of summers here. I'm sure you know that.
yes.
So I want to start sort of back in the early days. Did your parents have any influence on, you picking up a softball and starting with that? Or is that something you picked up and figured out on your own that you wanted to, play the game of softball?
My parents pretty much told me, they're like, you're gonna play sport, so like pick which one that you're gonna most enjoy. So I tried like every single sport. I tried basketball, soccer. I hated running so much. Like I was like crying on the field because I had to run so much. I'm like, I can't do this. And so the last option was like softball. And I think I was like at a party, like one of my friends' like birthday parties, and we were like, this is so cliche, but it's the truth. So we were hitting a pinata, and I like hit the pinata so good. I like broke it open the first time. My mom was like, my mom's friend was like, oh, like I think she would be really good at softball. Like you should try that. And that was like our last option anyway. So she's like, you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna put her in softball. And then it stuck. I somehow was not bad at it, so we just kept rolling with it. So yeah.
So at any later point, did you ever attempt any other sports, or was it always just the focus was tunnel visioned on softball?
Definitely tunnel visioned on softball. Like I did random like middle school like volleyball and basketball, but it was like super non-competitive. It was just like something else to do at that time. But yeah, mostly softball. So
How was your experience and time at Mater Dei High School, a school that has a pretty decently long list of professional athlete alumni? Was that something that might have prepared you for your next step in college, or how was your time there?
yeah, it was. I actually lived like 45 minutes away from Mater Dei, and me and my parents talked about it. We're like, if this is gonna prepare me for like the next steps, like in college, and to be as like competitive as I can, like I think it's worth the commute to go there. So it definitely did prepare me for UW, and I actually got to play for a UW alumni, Tia Meza, or Tia Bollinger at the time. She went to UW and was like a star at UW. So getting to learn from her was super cool. And I think that's a big reason why I wanted to go there, was because she was there, and I would learn so much, and I did. So I'm super thankful that I had the opportunity to go there with a bunch of like other stud athletes that pushed me every single day. So yeah.
Would you say that having her influence helped in the recruiting process at all? Because from what I read, you started being recruited as a freshman at Mater Dei. So in general, I guess, what was that process like? And was there any other idea of a university outside of UW?
Um, I would say it was more my travel ball coach, Mike Stith. He was the one that was super adamant about like getting us like seen and recruited by big time schools. So I actually wasn't that heavily recruited. I visited like Arkansas, University of Missouri, and that was about it. And then I visited UW, and I was like, okay, I have to go here. So I kind of knew like right when I stepped on campus that that's where I wanted to go. And it's like they always say that you have this feeling of like, you know, right when you like get there. And I was like, okay, whatever. After like the first two schools, I'm like, that's so like not true. But then I stepped on UW, I'm like, it is totally true.
just, just took a little bit.
Yeah.
So was there anything decisive that helped you commit to UW, or was it just more so you kind of knew when you were on campus?
Definitely the coaches. I just knew that like they had a really good softball program, a really good UW is just so great academically. But I felt that just from building my relationship with Coach Tarr, I knew that I was going to like grow so much as a person, not just as a softball player. Like I knew I was going to get so much better and be a better person and really find like who I truly was. I just had a feeling. I don't know. So I could definitely say that I'm a completely different person from freshman year to now. So I trusted my gut and it worked out.
What were some of your first impressions of Coach Tarr, and what sort of lessons has she? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, but what sort of lessons would you say that she's given you throughout your time at the school?
Yeah, my first impressions of Coach Tarr, just very like wanting to know just everything about you, like really caring about who you are, not just like on as a softball player, but like wanting to know your about your personal life, like what are you passionate about. And that's what really stuck with me, is that she was so like invested in who I was. And not all the coaches that I talked to were like that. They didn't really like care about you as a person. They just wanted to know what you were going to bring softball wise. So that really stuck out to me. And oh, she's taught me so much, but I would say like a big lesson is just like how much like passion that she brings around softball. Like you have to be so passionate about what you're doing in life. And I think that's what's going to drive your success, is if you're like so passionate about what you're doing, like all the rest is going to come. And you could tell like every single day she comes with like such a passion for softball, and like really cares about like the process of being successful, just not the result, but like how we're going to get there. So that's just going to definitely in life, like I'm really process oriented because of Coach Tarr, not just like, oh, I want this, I want that. Like I care more about the process, and I think that's super important. So, yeah.
So would you say she's very much a player's coach?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes, we all love her, and like we respect every decision that she makes because we know it's like for the betterment of us. So yes, definitely a player's coach. We adore her.
So I always am intrigued a little bit by jersey numbers, and in doing research, I correct me if this is wrong. I hope I didn't get a faulty article. But I read that the number 47 came about because of Howie Kendrick. Now,
Yeah.
how did he become your favorite baseball player? What sort of, was it an early memory? Was it, some off the field? How did that come into play?
Um, so when I was younger, I grew up watching like Angel games with my dad. He would always have them on the TV. So I was always super invested and excited when we got to watch an Angel game. And they play so many games, like literally. So they're always on. And so he was the second baseman at the time. For the Angels, and something just stuck out to me about him. Like he reminded me a lot of like myself, just super humble, and super hardworking, like super consistent, like not very emotional on the field, just like super consistent with his energy. And he would always come through in the big moments, but like he wasn't a big star on the team. Like he was never talked about. So I just like found this like love for him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is so cool. So I grew up watching him and I was like, I want to be like him, like at least on the field. I know I don't know him personally, but just on the field, like I want to be exactly like him. And so my mom actually got me like a signed ball from him like in high school, and I like started crying. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, if he ever hears this, I love you, Howie Kendrick. Yeah.
I'll have to try and push that along if I'm able to, but I always think it's really cool because sometimes it's just, that's the number that you're given, or sometimes obviously it means a little bit more. So I always find
Yeah.
it something to note, when a jersey number is significant. So,
Yeah. I
uh,
actually wasn't I at first I wasn't gonna be allowed to wear it just because like nobody else has worn it before. And we do these
oh,
things that like they're called jersey number projects. So you pick a number and then you have to do research about every single player that has like worn the number and then call them and interview them. So nobody's worn 47. So Coach Tarr was like, you can't even do the project. I'm like, I really want to be 47. So she thought about it for a while. She's like, you know what? Just be 47. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I could try to call Howie Kendrick, but I don't know how that's gonna go. So
what sort of mindset or attitude did you bring into your freshman year at the school? Was there any sort of Were you nervous at first? Were you confident going into your freshman year? How did you attack that first year?
um I would say I'm kind of an anxious person, so I was very nervous just because I didn't know what to expect. Like my travel ball coach, Mike Stith, was always like, it's gonna be like the hardest 4 years like of your life. Like it's gonna be really good, but it's gonna be like the hardest 4 years like you'll ever have to do in your life. I'm like, oh my God. So I was very nervous just because I didn't know if I was gonna be good enough. Like I was I was ready to take on like any role that I I was given and like do that to the best that I could. So I was prepared for that, and I think my travel ball coach definitely prepared me um to just like anything that I was given, I was gonna take and run with it. So um yeah, I think I just had this mindset of like whatever I need to do to help the team, I'm gonna do. Um and it was a big learning lesson because there was two fifth-year seniors, Kim Souza and Courtney Gano, that were like leading the way, and definitely helped me learn so much that year. That I think that was one of my biggest learning years. So yeah, it was a good year, a very good learning year, I would say.
So with that learning year behind you, did you do anything unique or different to prepare for sophomore year?
um, I would just say I more like learned just how to be myself and accept myself, not try to be anyone different. Like when I came in my first year, I kind of just like, because I am a people pleaser, unfortunately. Sometimes, I mean, it's a good thing to an extent, but like I was trying to kind of be somebody that like everyone liked and everyone
Mm,
like I didn't want anyone to say anything bad about me because I was scared. Just like a super like freshman thing. So I totally learned like just how to accept myself and like be confident in my own skin. And that like was a game changer for me because I was able to really focus on like what I needed to do instead of what others were thinking about me. And that like totally took energy away that shouldn't have been like used in that area. It should have been used on like how can I personally help the team and my authentic self. So That was something that like was probably one of the biggest lessons I learned like in college.
So I know this part's obviously not very fun. How did you attack recovery in 2018, dealing with that injury? And I did, you've hit home the point that you're somebody that wants to do, whatever they can to help the team. And that, that was obviously even more evident in that year, when you couldn't really obviously help on the field necessarily.
Mhm.
So how did you attack recovery, and then what sort of things helped keep you moving towards recovery? Because I know, at certain points, I'm sure that was really difficult, and it's like, hey, this really sucks, for lack of better
Mhm.
words, So how did you attack recovery, and what kept you moving forward? What got you out of spaces where you might have been stuck?
Yeah. That was definitely a rough year, physically and mentally. I would say the support of my teammates was huge. Like, because at first I was very like depressed that I couldn't like I felt that I couldn't give anything to the team because I wasn't performing on the field. And so um but I like going back to my freshman year, I was like, okay, I don't have to be on the field to contribute to the team. Like I can contribute in other ways. Like I can do film. I could tag film and I could like tell the players like what I'm seeing for the opposing pitcher. Like I can put away all the gear like in the beginning or at the end of the day and like stay super late and clean the locker room. Like I can do like a bunch of different things, like small things that are going to add up to the success of the team. Um, and so when I was able to, like after I was able to like move around and stuff, that's definitely something that I tried to focus on was like, what can I do like right now to help the team, like the best that I can. And that looks different for everyone, but that's something that I focused on. And like my teammates were so supportive, like every day, just, I think just welcoming me, like acknowledging me, like it's like so small, but just like saying hi, like we see you, like we see you in the dugout cheering, we can feel your energy, like that was huge. And to this day, like if they didn't like support me as much as they did, I don't know like if I would have gone through that. Recovery wise, like physically, that, yeah, I don't know, people tear their ACL like multiple times and I'm like, how do you do that? Like there's one girl on the basketball team, Gigi Garcia, that tore her ACL like 3 or 4 times and I'm like, I commend her, like she is so strong, because one time was just so hard, like just like the physical rehab, especially the first like couple months of just getting your knee to like move again and it like extend all the way, like it was so hard. And it definitely gave me an appreciation of just my body, like being able to wake up every day and like nothing is like really hurting, like I can walk to the freaking bathroom, like I like, wow, this feels so good. Like it definitely gave me an appreciation of just like my body. And before I was like, it's normal for females to have like body image issues of like, oh, I wish this was different, I wish this was different, but it's like we can get up and like our body is allows us to like play a sport that we love, like it's so awesome. And that's just that's why I'm like thankful that I had that injury, as weird as that sounds, because I did have to sit out for a season, but it taught me so much just about myself that I feel like I'm completely different, and it contributed to who I am today. So I know that sounds cliche, but
No, I
it's
mean,
true.
I think it makes sense, sort of like gave you a moment to sit back and sort of reflect on things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just of like just my mindset. Like, is this really gonna help? Like my thoughts, like what's and that's something that I've learned a lot too, is like what you're thinking really like it manifests into the real, like into real time. So it's like, are these thoughts really gonna help me? Like with rehab, I would wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go. Sorry, I just sorry, you need to edit that out. But I was like, frick, I don't want to go. Like, but then it's like, why? That's not even gonna help me. That mindset's not gonna help me. Like, you have to wake up and attack it every single day, and that's what's gonna help overall the team. Like, my mindset is gonna help the team. So, yeah.
Well, and then to stay with ACL, I mean, we had some people in Seattle sports Brianna Stewart of the Storm came back from an ACL injury, and she's, perennial, almost MVP level play. And then Kyle Lewis, um, injured right now, which sucks. But I mean,
Mhm.
earlier in his career, like blew his entire knee out. So, and then Gigi, 3 or 4 times, man.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some stories to look at, when something like that happens, I guess, in a way, but obviously it's not something that's fun to deal with.
Yeah.
Um, so switching away from bad things, um, can you talk a little bit about your time catching Gabbie Plain, as well as the player and the person that she is?
Yeah. Um, so I don't even know where to start. Gabi is she's the best pitcher that I've ever caught in my career. And I tell her that all the time. I'm like, I can't wait to catch you today. Like, it's going to be so fun. And not only like just how good she is, but like she's so much fun to work with as a person. She has this like calm presence about her all the time. I don't know if you've noticed, but she's
Yeah.
just so consistently like calm no matter what the situation is. And that definitely rubs off on all of us. Just with not staying too high or staying too low, just being able to like stay consistent throughout the game and even in practice. So getting to work with her every day, it's been a blast. And she's just so like accountable for herself too, just like with her pitches. Like she always asks me after every pitch, like, did that move enough, or did that stay over the plate too much? I'm like, and I'm always able to tell her like the truth, and she not get offended or like be like, really, like she's always respectful of what I have to say. And I think that's and it's vice versa too. So I think that's what made our relationship so strong, is like being able to tell each other like the uncomfortable things or the things that are kind of hard to say. um, and I think us respecting each other more for that. So we were definitely great teammates, I would say. And yeah, I'm gonna miss her a lot. I'm excited for next year, but yeah, working with her has been like one of the highlights of my careers, for sure. Of my career, sorry, for sure.
Do you have a cool story about Gabbie Plain that you would want to share?
Oh, let's see. Oh my gosh. I feel like I do. Just um I think this isn't really a cool story, but she like has thrown a couple no hitters. I don't know how many it's been, but she never knows that it's like a no hitter, which is like cool. It's like really cool, but like we both have no clue like she threw a no hitter. So like at the end, like people will come up and we'll like celebrate, and I'm like, why are we celebrating?
What's
And she's
going
like,
on?
what's going on? Like, you just threw a no hitter, and we're like, oh wow,
Oh,
that's so cool. But I think it's cool because we're like just so like in the moment. That's what Coach Tarr preaches all the time, is staying in the present moment, like, and that's how we're gonna win. So we really try to embody that every day. And that's, I think we're too much in the present moment, but it's just funny, like just how that happens. I don't know.
well, I mean, you're locked in. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but it is. I'm sure it's unique. Like, why is everybody so excited
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah, it's funny, but
How
yeah.
different was 2020? Obviously, it was a shortened season, but what sort of protocols, or how was practice? What sort of things obviously were different that fans might not have seen, that was different, for you guys?
Yeah. So like in fall 2020 when we came back, um, well, a lot was different. We so at first when we first got there, before we were able to work with the coaches, um, we had to like, usually we'll be as a team practicing like throughout the week. We had to schedule like times to go on the field, which is really weird, and like pods of like 3 or 4.
Hmm.
And it was the same with lifting too. Like we were outside. They built like a outside outside weightlifting area, like in the football field or the football arena where every team had to go at scheduled times.
Oh.
And we couldn't, I think it was just weird that we couldn't be like as a team that we were normally used to. So like 3 of us would be there and then 3 of us would come and we were like, oh, hey, like we wish we could like practice with you guys. But I think being able to be like when we could be with the coaches and like our official start date, that's when it was like a lot better. We could be as a group, but we had to be 6 feet apart and wear our masks and like we could only have a scheduled amount of time. We couldn't go over, whereas like before we were able to go over a little bit and like be together for longer, and we couldn't be in the locker room like all at the same time. It was only like 7 people, I think. So that was like really weird. I think the locker room was probably the weirdest part of like we all had to count how many people were in there, and then if there were too many, some people had to go sit outside and wait for like more like people to go out on the field so they can come in. It was just kind of like a cluster F. I'm like, this sucks, because a lot of our bonding was like in the locker room and like getting to sit like 30 minutes before practice and ask how everyone's day is going and like really get to know each other in that area. So that was really tough. And then I think as preseason started to come, it started to get a lot better. We still had to wear a mask and do the 6 feet apart thing, but it was a lot better just getting to like go places and play games. And it was weird too, because some teams wore masks, some teams didn't. We're like, do we really have to wear masks? Like, I don't know. That was weird, but definitely as a season, like the end of season, like most of us were vaccinated. Like it was way better. We didn't really have to wear a mask all the time, not 6 feet apart, because of like majority of the team was vaccinated. So it was fine at the end, but definitely at the beginning, it was just like so hard with all these new protocols. Like it wasn't fun. That's for sure. I'm very glad that this whole thing is over, just because it was hard, like chemistry wise too, as a team. Like I think another part of it was we all had to like be super careful of where we were going, like outside of softball, because we didn't want to come back and someone was exposed to COVID and then we all get COVID and then we can't play like for 2 weeks. And that's what we were really scared of, is like postseason. Like what if somebody gets it and we're out of postseason? So just being really adamant about like our communication as a team, and like the leaders like really taking charge of like, okay guys, like we really need to be careful because we all want to be in postseason. That's what we're working for every single day. Like we don't want to ruin that for ourselves. So it was a good learning lesson. Like I say, I think there's always something to learn from every situation. There's a lot to learn from COVID. So
coming into this season, your last season, what sort of both memories, experiences, lessons, what things are you going to take, from this year? Obviously, an interesting regionals and a interesting super regionals, and obviously before even that, interesting decision day. So, taking everything into account from obviously regular season and preseason, what sort of things are you going to take, from 2021?
Ooh, there's a lot. I would say, just that it's more important, I think, even though we didn't do as well as we wanted to, just the relationships and the bonds that you build between the people around you are what are going to last you a lifetime. Like, I don't remember, like, there's so many instances I don't remember like what happened in like 2017, like results wise, like, or 2018. I probably should, but like what I remember most is like how I got to know a certain person, or the memories that I had with like my teammates, and like even outside of softball, like the great times that we had, and like the good laughs. Like that's what I'm really gonna remember. So I'm not like, of course I'm bummed that we didn't make it to the World Series, but I'm just so happy that I got to know my teammates so much better, especially the younger players. Like there was an age difference of like 6 years or 6 or 5 years. And it was just like at the beginning, I'm like, how am I going to connect with these girls? Like, I've never been in this position, and it's harder than it seems, because I'm like, over time it'll be fine. But like, I really felt that I had to like push myself every day to really make a connection with the younger girls, and it totally paid off, and I'll be friends with them for the rest of my life. So just getting to really connect with them, I'm so thankful. And that's just what I think I'm going to take away from this whole experience, especially 2021, is the friends that I gained and that I'm going to have like for the rest of my life. So yeah.
Well, I think that, points towards the chemistry that this program is built, and that you guys have obviously put time into, as well as just even, I guess you could say, towards growing people, as people. I could use
Yeah.
better words there, but I think you understand what I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think you taking the time to do that, despite that's not something that you've been through. I think that'll obviously help those women as they continue throughout the program. Um, so no, I think obviously, like you said, World Series, a title's the goal, but I don't think that leaving that positive influence is going to be a bad thing whatsoever.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope so. I hope not. Yeah.
do you have any preference between the Nike uniforms and the Adidas uniforms, or you don't care? You're just out there and it's just a uniform, or is that something that you saw a difference in?
Mm, Well, I think we had a lot of time to like work with Nike about like how they could improve their uniforms. And Coach Tarr was really great with giving them like honest feedback. So I think like the last year we wore the Nike uniforms, they were just like the best uniforms I've ever worn. They were just so like light. You can even tell they were on your body. They were just so comfortable. It's kind of weird, but yeah, they were just super comfortable. And then so I think with Adidas, we're kind of like where we were at with Nike, I think, from like square
Oh,
one. So they have a lot of just like work to do with like comfort, I think. And it's not a bad thing. They just have a lot of room to grow.
yeah.
And I think with our program, we're really good with giving them like honest feedback. So I think in the next couple of years they're gonna get like really, really good. But right now they are a bit uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Adidas, but all of your other gear is great. But yeah, so I think they just have some work to do. I love like, because every purple, I feel like with every different company is like different. I really like the purple that they gave us. But yeah, I would say Nike for sure had like time with us where they could like really um just tailor to what we liked. So we just have to give Adidas a little bit of
Oh
time.
yeah. Uh, it is interesting to hear, some too, like maybe it's just me, but again, like with the jersey numbers, it's interesting to see how the players feel about, different brands and the product that they give them. So, like you
Yeah.
said, I'm sure it's just they're gonna learn from it, and I'm sure the
Yeah.
product will get better. But
Yes. It's not that it's like really bad right now. It's just Nike was so good with their like intention about wanting to make us feel comfortable. So their intention is totally there. It's just a matter of time. So
would you say that playing in the Pac-12 conference helped you get better each year just because of the different programs in the conference that are so good, historically and obviously now in softball?
yeah. Um I think that the Pac-12 is like the toughest conference, despite what others would say. But yeah, I think it's really what prepares us for postseason. Also, like our preseason schedule, um, really prepares us as well. Just getting to play teams on the different side of the country, and then getting so from that, and then rolling into Pac-12. I think we do have like the toughest conference, like I said. So that's what really like shows us like as a team who we are and what we need to improve on to be successful later in the season. Um, so obviously like the UCLA's, Arizona's, like those are my favorite teams to play. Even Oregon, like in my first couple of years, like they were so much fun to play just because it was like the atmosphere was so intense. Like you knew that like you had to bring your all every single pitch, like to beat them. Like everybody had to be on that pitch and giving their energy for us to win. And that's when you really figure out like, okay, like, are we really like in this to like win? Like it's just like, it really shows our true colors playing those teams. And so that's why I love playing those teams, is because we get direct feedback every single time of what we need to do better. So yeah, the Pac-12, I love it. It's so fun. It's so competitive. So I'll miss that for sure.
So this might apply. What was the most unique ballpark that you played in over your career, and would it maybe be a Pac-12 school? I mean, I'm sure you could include environment as well as location there, but
Oh yeah, okay. One comes to mind. Alabama was definitely like, that stuck with me. It was my first like postseason like field that I played at. No, yeah, postseason like away field that I played at in super regionals. And unfortunately we didn't win, but that environment was just insane. Like the field was really, really nice. Like everything about the field was so nice. And then it felt like there was like 10,000 people there just like rooting against us. And so like, even when it was just crazy, because when you're like up to bat and there was like a pitch that was clearly like 5 balls off the plate, the whole entire stadium would be yelling at the umpire like, that was a strike. I'm like, what the heck? Like that wasn't even close. But like, it's like the atmosphere just like is so electrifying, and it felt exactly like the World Series, like being at the World Series. So that was just it was a fun place to play, I thought, and one of my favorite fields to play at. So
what has it been like being around Sis Bates? Because if my information's correct, you guys were or still are roommates, and you're both fellow Californians. So
yeah.
for the people that might not know, or to give the people more info, what's it been like being around Sis Bates?
Yeah, Sis is like a fireball of energy, and she just lights up any room that she walks in. Like literally, it's so fun being around her, just because like it brings you up. You're just like so happy being around her, because she's just like she brings so much energy all the time. And especially on the field, she's like our spark plug, especially just leading off. Like we just have so much confidence in her, like as a person. Just she's a great person, and she just brings so much work ethic every single day that it makes you want to like work just as hard as her. And she made the team better every day at practice. And yeah, so she actually lives like 2 floors above me. We're in the same apartment complex, and so I'll just stop by if I like just if I ever feeling down, or I just want to like get a little bit of energy in my day. I just stop by and I see their dogs and see Sis, and I'm like, oh, love it up here. So yeah, she's just like, I'm so happy that softball brought me to meet her, just because I know that I can call her whenever I need her, and she's just gonna be so positive and just really like, she really cares about like her teammates. So she's just a great, I could say so many things about Sis. She's just a great person. So
That was always something that was watching the broadcast, all they could seem to talk about was Sis Bates being a ball
yeah,
energy. And
it's hard not to, because she's just so like, she's just so much fun to watch playing softball, so
and they should probably make a National Defensive Player of the Year award, because I
yes,
figure that should be a thing.
yeah,
But,
no, I don't know why it's not yet. She would have won it every single year.
So, continuing to talk about teammates, what are you excited to see next year from this team? Obviously, you won't be with the team as a player, but and I know a couple other players aren't going to be with the program, but players like Bailey Klingler, Gabbie Plain, Kelly Lynch, and Gunnar Mount, I believe, should still be around. So what are you excited to see, from this team next season?
I think that next season should be their best season, just with all of, I think, not only the talent, but I think especially the upperclassmen, I think we did a good job of just like paving the way of like the culture and like continuing Husky fever and just like showing them the ways of like really chemistry wise of what kind of needs to be done to just like be successful in postseason. And they're such great like learners of not only the game but just of what the culture is. So I think they know for sure that like chemistry and culture is like what takes the team into like Oklahoma City. And they're yeah, I just love how, especially Bailey Klingler, she's like really hard on herself, but in a good way. Like she expects to get a hit every single time. And if she doesn't, it's like, oh, like she gets so mad. I'm like, dude, like you already had 3 hits. Like you're freaking having a great game. She's like, but that last at bat, I should have got a hit. I'm like, but it's like a good like energy where you're like, okay, I want to get a hit every time. Like what the heck? It's just like they have so much unique personalities also that I'm really excited to watch them next year. They're gonna be so good. And the incoming freshmen are gonna bring a lot to the team too. So it's gonna be a really exciting year, and I can't wait to watch them in the stands and cheer them on.
Will it be different for you to, be on that side of it instead of getting, sitting there getting ready for the game, putting the gear on? Will it be kind of a weird experience?
Yeah, it will definitely be weird, but I'm excited because I think like my time with softball, we've had a good run, but I'm ready to just like sit back and watch. It's my time to watch. So I can't wait to like scream my lungs out in the stands. And yeah, it's gonna be funny though, because like I know exactly what it's like to be in the situations. So it's gonna be definitely a weird perspective being on the other side, but I'll let you know how it is.
How did the idea to become a graduate assistant come about? Where did, was that something that you'd thought about, or how did that come into play?
Yeah, I was supposed to be a grad assistant this last year if COVID didn't happen. So it kind of worked out actually that COVID happened because I got to play my second year of my master's. Um, so yeah, Sis is gonna be a grad assistant because she's in the same program as I am. It's a 2-year program. So she's gonna be a grad assistant this upcoming year. And if I could, I would be. But my master's is only 2 years long instead of 3. So yeah.
I don't think you'll complain about not having another year of school, though. I think that might be,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so true. I'm so done with school. I'm so done. So yeah.
How excited are you for the completion of the performance center and what it will do for the program going forward?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous, first off, that it's opening right when I leave. I'm kind of upset about that, but it's going to be a game changer for the program just because, it rains so much in Seattle. So we would always have to go in the Dempsey and like kind of interfere with track. It's kind of like in the middle. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like at the end, but it's where like all the track athletes go. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to just like set everything up and ask them to move. And it's a process just setting it up. It's like one whole process. And like, I think a lot of motivation when I'm like, I want to hit extra, I'm like, a lot of motivation comes from just setting it up. And I think we deserve like definitely this performance center. It's like long overdue. Because we'll pass by baseball and they have this super nice, like big like center with everything set up, and we're like, oh, we hate them. Like not like hate them, but just like we're envious of them.
Yeah.
We're very envious of them. So it's gonna be a game changer for the program. Just getting to go in and not have to like share the space with another team, and like it's gonna be so awesome. And going in whenever you need to get some swings in, like I'm excited. I can't wait to hear all about it, and I'm going to go take some swings in there and experience that. So I think I deserve to. So
Okay, and now I want to step off the softball field just because I'm sure at some point it gets tiring, and when it's something that you do for, about 6 years, I'm sure it's nice to get breaks.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to In-N-Out order?
Oh, yeah, I get a double with a pink lemonade. So yeah, I don't like ask for anything different. Like whatever comes on it, I'm like yes. But also, this is kind of off topic. I went to Shake Shack like 2 days ago, and that gave In-N-Out a run for its money. I think
Really?
it might be better. I think,
Huh.
but also they have a cookies and cream shake, and I think the shakes at In-N-Out are trash. So if you can have a good shake too, like that's just gonna make the experience so much better. So
Every time I speak to someone who's from California, it's always that like In-N-Out is like the greatest thing ever. So
yeah,
to hear that is kind of interesting.
yeah. I don't know if you ever had Shake Shack, but you should try it. It's really good.
I know there's a couple around here, and I've been skeptical, so I might need to just cave in and do it. I know that the clip of the guy from Virginia went kind of viral, and it was funny that it did because on the Mariners broadcast, Aaron Goldsmith and oh God, Blowers, we're talking about Dippin' Dots. Do you have a favorite Dippin' Dots flavor?
Yeah, cookies and cream for sure. Wait, nah. Banana split is up there too, but cookies and cream, yeah.
I would.
That interview is really funny for sure.
This was. See, I work at the ballpark down at the Mariners as well, and baseball has been in my life for basically all my life.
Yeah.
And I had Dippin' Dots for the first time like last month, and people were really mad at me. See, I was like, oh, sorry.
Oh my God. Well, I'm better late than never for
Yeah.
sure.
I went and I had my little cup and I was on break and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I felt so bad. My coworkers and my friends were like, what are you doing? They're like, don't you go to the stadium a lot? And I was like, yeah.
Well, what flavor was it?
Cookies and cream.
Okay, yes. Love that. Oh my
I
God.
didn't know Dippin' Dots was such a hotly contested thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like so different from like regular ice cream. And then when it melts a little bit, oh, it's so good. I just
Oh
can't
my
get better than
God.
that.
I should just start including that in anything sort of baseball or softball related. Just add the Dippin' Dots question, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. I'm there
Um,
for it.
what motivated you to pursue a master's degree in education?
Oh, well, I just really liked how flexible the program was. So you can take classes in the IL program, which is the Intercollegiate Athletic Leadership Program, and kind of make it a hybrid. And Jen Salling did that program and she made it a hybrid also. And she said that she really, really liked it. So that was something I really wanted to pursue. And it was the best decision ever. I got to learn about like sports management as well as like higher education management. So yeah, and so now I'm like I want to work like in an athletic department and just like see if that can be something that I want to do. I got to shadow the director of tickets for the athletic department, the UW athletic department, and that was a really great experience. So we'll see. We'll see where my future takes me. But yeah, it was a really cool experience doing that master's program.
In a student feature on UW SAAS Twitter, you said that you wanted to work on the environmental side of Nike or Adidas. Is that something that you still think about, or has that been maybe put to rest?
Yeah, it's still in the back of my mind if like working in an athletic department doesn't work out. It's definitely something that I would want to try to pursue, like working. I think especially now that we're with Adidas, I got to meet like the people that come and like fit us, and um they said that they have really big environmental like sides of their company, and they're like, you should totally try to get into it. So I think that could be something I could do, and there would be connections that I could like follow through with, like the people that came and I got to meet. So I think it would be a good experience. But yeah, that's definitely something I would still consider.
And then, do you have a favorite UW food spot?
Um, hmm. Oh, yeah. So there's, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's like in Lander in the West campus. They have like a little food area. Um,
Oh,
and actually they have it in the new dorms. I forgot what they're called though. It's where our freshmen live. It's like close to the softball field. But there's a sandwich shop down there and they make the best sandwiches that I've ever had. It's not like anything called anything, I don't think. It's just like a little sandwich stand. So if anyone's listening to this that goes UW, you need to try it. It's so good.
and so with that all being said, is there anything that you want to put out there, whether it's, I always link socials down in the description just because in case anybody wants to follow up, or if somebody saw you out there mashing homers, they're like, hey, I want to learn more about Morganne Flores. Just put that out there just so people can find it. But is there anything that you want to put out there? I know that softball saw some great increase in numbers this year and viewership, just because I know that obviously I think one of our games was on ABC.
Mm.
But in general, I believe that there was a larger increase. So is there anything that you want to put out there into the world?
Um, just I just want to thank people for like following softball and wanting to be a part of it, and even just viewing it. Like how you said that this year is probably the highest viewership that we've gotten. I think one of the highest.
I wouldn't
I thought
doubt
I
it.
saw a tweet about that, but like the World Series, just like thank you for wanting to watch us, and so much goes into being a student athlete that is behind the scenes. And it's a really tough job to go out there, and especially the pressures of performing because you want to do it so bad, and then when you don't, it takes a big toll on like student athletes. So just I think I'm really proud of like the bravery that also we have of just like putting ourselves out there, for the world to see us and like do something that we love. So yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for getting to go to UW and be a student athlete and be surrounded by that community. And thank you for doing this, like just putting us on a platform that we're able to share our experience for others to learn. So yeah.
Well, and not to, speak too much about it, but, well, first of all, I was very excited to talk to anybody part of the softball team just because it's been so exciting to follow the journey. And that's such a good program that we have here at UW. But, um, in doing research, with some of the just women athletes in general, like I spoke to you a little bit about the OL Reign, there's not as much of, info to go off of. And it's like,
Mm,
why isn't there? Or even like, someone made a good point on Twitter about having, photographers, at these women's sports games because somebody was writing an article on Brittany Griner and they didn't want to use one from 2018. It's like,
mm,
so at the end of the day, if I'm, obviously not with a media outlet, I'm just here to push these stories along. I'm not the
yeah.
one with the info. You are. So my goal is to get, the info from you and to get that story out there so people can learn. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's the goal. So if I can
Yeah.
achieve that, then I'm happy with that, so
Yeah.
just for you to take time out of your day, to even do something like this, I'm always grateful for that. So um, excited to see what's next. For I thought it was cool reading the nicknames too, from Venmo to MoFlo. Uh, Venmo was, I was like, huh, I wouldn't have thought about that, but I, I was excited to
Same.
do this. And hopefully can do some more softball ones, but excited to see, maybe you stay with the university, stay in the athletic department. That would be cool. But at the end of the day, excited to see where that takes you, and hopefully be able to see it in the at well, not the facility, but the field next year. So
Yeah.
um,
Thank you.
unless you've got anything else to drop, I appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day today.
Yes, thank you. And it's also really cool to see you so passionate and like doing something that you love. I can really tell that you love just like talking to us and putting our stories out there. So thank you, Charles. You are awesome. Thank you for spending the time with me. So have a great rest of the day.
Morganne Flores, everybody.